What is the Charlotte Mason method all about? What is her Charlotte Mason story? Hi, this is Gina of Our Living Learning. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Charlotte Mason Mini Talks. Today we have a guest, and she will be sharing her Charlotte Mason story. She is an educator, a Charlotte Mason mom, and she is now part of Living Learning Homeschool as our Charlotte Mason special needs consultant. Let us welcome Jen Belosilio.
Hi everyone, welcome to our Living Learning CM Mini Talks. We're here right now with Jen Belosilio, and she's a CM mom, and I'd like you to meet her. Jen, can you tell us something about yourself? Maybe your journey so far, background, and what you've done already in terms of homeschooling.
All right. Again, I'm Jen Beliosilio. I'm a mother of four beautiful children, ages 15, 13, 7, and 5. Okay, and of course, I'm just a wife to one husband. And I am an educator, and I used to be a homeschool parent coach. And so far in our homeschool journey, we've been homeschooling for 11 years.
Mm.
Okay, and in terms of what we're doing right now, we've tried this CM for this is our first year to do the Charlotte Mason methodology, and so far we're doing so great. And in terms of the children, our main motivation in homeschooling during our first year was our eldest son, who was diagnosed under the autism spectrum disorder. And after a while, we enjoyed homeschooling so much and we saw the beauty of it. That's why we homeschooled our second child. Dati dalawa pa lang yung anak namin. We didn't even realize na magiging apat pala sila.
Yes.
God gave us more reasons to do homeschooling.
Mm.
So, and then there was a year, I think that was 2 or 3 years, wherein I homeschooled all four of them at the same time. Okay, so yun.
Okay. So you mentioned that this is your first year using the Charlotte Mason method. So
That's right.
can you tell us maybe your experience prior to Charlotte Mason? How was your homeschool journey then? And maybe after, maybe compare the differences after. So maybe focus first on your past homeschooling journey. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So for the past 10 years, we've been homeschooling using traditional methods. Or I can say, maybe I can just say, I've always been an eclectic homeschooler because of the background of my son. I've been researching and doing a lot of readings on the different methodologies and strategies that I can use to teach my children during that time. And of course, there's that teacher in me that I wanted to try out everything. I wanted to try out all the methodologies and which one would work. We would use that for our homeschooling. In terms of our curriculum, we've always been compliant with what DepEd requires us to do or requires us to submit in terms of standards. We've followed the curriculum, set curriculum by our then homeschool provider. And this is our first year doing the open curriculum, and we're just loving it so much. In terms of comparison, it's really a lot different now that you're focusing on just one curriculum. And coming from being an eclectic homeschooler to focusing on just one curriculum, this really gave me really that focus and that much understanding about the method that I am using. And I appreciate it very well because you can see the beauty of the curriculum. You can see the fullness of the methodology because it's really a lot different when you're just focusing on one. You don't get confused. That's what I experienced. I don't get confused anymore because have you experienced when you see something in the internet, you wanted to print it all, and then at the same time, you'll find yourself with a pile of papers
Yes.
waiting for your child to do all the exercises, no? And then ending up na hindi niya magagawa lahat. So now we've tried to really focus on one methodology,
Mm.
and that is really working for us so well.
Yeah, that I can't imagine now, no. So when I first started around ilang years ago, then there were
Mhm.
already a lot of resources. Super ang dami na. There was already Pinterest then. But now I can imagine
That's
now
right.
is now I can't imagine the new moms who are going to homeschool. Just the resources maybe are so overwhelming, and you just don't know where to go, and maybe the tendency is to just print everything or even buy everything and
Yes.
compare
Yes.
everything, and in the end frustrated ka na. So
That's right.
I'm
That's right.
glad you found the method for you, because each method is different and maybe it's not
Right.
for one family, and but I'm glad that
Mhm.
you met Charlotte Mason. So regarding that, where did you hear
Yeah.
about Charlotte Mason naman, and what
Ah,
made
okay.
what made you try it, given the fact na for how many years
Yeah.
traditional yung method mo, and
Yes.
where how did you jump? What made you take the leap?
All right. So I first met Charlotte Mason during the time that I was researching for strategies. So during that first year, second year of homeschooling, I've read about Charlotte Mason, and I was really very much interested in her methodology. In
Mm,
fact, we even tried copy work, and
mm,
it worked so well with my children. Instead of making them write the usual ABCs or writing
yeah, yeah.
exercises,
Uh-oh.
I made them write something with a purpose, and I really love that. We wrote Bible verses, diba?
Mm,
Line from poems, a
mm,
line from songs. Diba? So lahat yon, everything worked out so well for us. In fact, we also tried nature studies,
mm,
but we are not so consistent about it. We were then not consistent about it because we're still relying on the curriculum, set
mm.
curriculum given to us. And if it is not the topic for the quarter, it will be very difficult for us to do nature studies because we
Ah,
need to complete first the requirements for the quarter. Because if it's a plant, it's all about plants, all about animals, then you can do nature studies. But
okay.
most of the time you focus on what is required first, and then extra time you go for nature walks, you go for nature studies. So we're not as consistent as we are now.
Oh,
Okay.
oh,
And so that's our experience. And then of course during that time, 2 years after we started homeschooling, I also went back to work as a homeschool parent coach. So I didn't have that time to do the readings,
mm,
to do more.
yes.
I didn't have that time to read, to look for materials about Charlotte Mason anymore because I was looking at Montessori, I was looking at Waldorf, I was looking at many other things.
Yeah,
No?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't have time compared now that I really love this time of being quarantined inside the home. I have a lot of time to read and I really love it. No, so that's the reason why I really love this time of being in a lockdown, no,
Yeah.
because I have time to read. I have time to read, no. So yun nga yung one of the regrets that I
Mm,
had then. Biro mo mga ano lang, first 2 years namin, no. So
mm,
if I only pursued my studies about Charlotte Mason, I could have done it sooner. So there's a lot of what ifs, no? But of course, no regrets, move forward. Maybe
yes.
that was the best educational option for us during that season of time for my children and for me. Okay,
Mm,
so now we move forward, and of course, it's very, very different. And what made us try it? Maybe I could say that God has a way of leading you back or putting you back on track if
wow.
this is his plan for you. He's going to put you back on track. He's going to rekindle that fire in your heart. And he's going to lead you and guide you to the path that you're supposed to take. That's
Mm,
how I wanted to look at it right now. That God really led me to your workshops. God led me to your orientations. My
mm,
husband and I prayed about it because it's
mm,
different.
yeah.
It's different. And I'm gonna throw away all my textbooks, and I've been collecting all my textbooks all my life. Because from the academe, would you believe that I even have all my materials when I was teaching?
Wow,
Everything is still intact. Yeah, sabi ko sa mga anak ko, matanda pa sa inyo yan.
wow, Jen.
Iingatan nyo yan, okay? So I all have that, no? But you see, God has His ways. God has His
Mm.
ways, and He's going to lead you to the right path. And you would know that this is the right path if you're happy, if you're peaceful, if everything is going on well with you, with the family, for the children. I think we've made the right choice so far.
Yeah, I'm glad nga, no. I think for me, I met you one time in a conference and we clicked it actually. Ang daldal na natin right away.
Oh,
That
yeah, right. Ang daldal
and
natin.
it was just 5 or 10 minutes that we were able to speak to each other, but
Yeah.
there we clicked right away already, and I'm just glad that now we're going to be together in LLH. So everyone, she's going to be in charge. She's going to be the CM consultant for families with special needs, the children with special needs. So I'm so happy that you're part of LLH already. And I going back to what you said a while ago, na
Mhm.
when you were busy, no, you were kasi you had a lot of things to do then, and you had no time to really dig deep in a method. And I'm just realizing it right now at this moment that a lot of parents don't have time really not to read. And so maybe you could wait, let me look at my next question, no. Given that na a lot of parents don't have much time, especially
Mhm.
now in quarantine, are there
Yes.
any tips maybe that, or maybe share us how you equipped yourself now you're in quarantine? What have you been
Okay.
doing to equip yourself in this method?
All right. So equipping yourself in this method would mean first unlearning so many things that I've done for the past 20 years. That from the time
Ah,
I was teaching up to the time I am homeschooling. Okay, that's unlearning, and that is writing a lesson plan. I love to write lesson plan,
mm,
even detailed lesson plans. It's in my system. I really love to do that. Pagpupuyatan ko talaga yan. Okay,
wow.
that is something that I really like to do. But when I learned about this methodology, at first it was difficult because there's a teacher in you that really wants to plan everything. I wanted to plan everything, make sure that everything is covered, from chapter one up to the last chapter. Everything is there. No? But that is the first thing that I had to unlearn.
Mm,
Okay, I had to trust the methodology. I had to trust the system, or
mm,
else it would fail. It's going to be an epic fail for all of us. Okay, so that's first. I tried unlearning, but of course, don't get me wrong. For those who wanted to try this method, it's not that we don't have a plan for our children. It's
oh
not that
no,
we're relaxing and we're not doing anything. No,
not
no,
at
no,
all.
not at all. We do have a plan. Although with LLH, I appreciate being under an open curriculum. We
Mm,
have a plan. We have a guide. We have a book list. In
mm,
fact, you have a lot of books to choose from. You have the liberty to choose whatever books that you would like to use, just
mm,
as long as it is a living book.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
I'm talking about living books because living books, if for those who are not yet familiar, it's
mm.
something that speaks to you. It's not giving you facts, but it is something that speaks to you. A book that fires your imagination. It touches your emotion. Para ka nagbabasa ng FB feed. No? Pag nagbabaksa ka ng FB feed, di ba, merong facts lang,
Yeah.
merong punong-puno ng emosyon. You would imagine that is the kind of book that you would like to read. No?
Yeah.
So, ganun yung explanation ko about living book. So, yun. And then, secondly, of course, read.
Yeah.
I realized that we spend too much time on FB. Ako din, guilty din ako doon. No? Kasi sometimes you wouldn't notice that you've been scrolling
Mm,
for hours na di ba? Nakaka-relax din kasi. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with it, no?
Mm, mm,
But
mm.
then, I always go back to the fact that I am given this time, um, because of the quarantine. Maybe it's time for me to do more readings. Because when I was trying the different methodologies before, of
Mm.
course, I knew about the methodologies, but I only knew tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
Ano? Tip of the iceberg lang. So I get whatever is good and I
Mm.
implement it with my homeschool. No? But then you now have the time to dig deeper, to know more about the methodology, whatever methodology you choose.
Mm.
You dig deeper so
Mm.
that you'll be able to appreciate, you'll be able to understand why you do the things that you do. And that's what something I love about Charlotte Mason. There's always a reason why you do the things that you do. There's
Yes.
always a principle to go back to. No?
Mm.
Like, we always talk about narration.
Mm.
Minsan, we na pag may nakarinig sa'yo na hindi CM, what is that narration all about? What is that copy work all about? But
Mm.
doing copy work, doing narration, nature studies, and doing all of these things, they have Charlotte Mason has reasons for each one, and that is what I find so good and so I love about the method, because when you're in doubt, of course, we're all sometimes there is that feeling of fear that am I doing enough for my children? Are they learning so much? When you are fearful, you always go back to the principle of Charlotte Mason, and
Mm.
then you'll feel that okay, now I understand why. You're not doing it for compliance, you're not doing it for submission or to please anybody, but you're doing it because there is a reason for doing it.
Yes.
Okay? So that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I just like to recap on what you said. No, first, you were so into making lesson plans. But
Yes.
right now, it's a different kind of planning that you do. I'd like to tell all the others that it's
Mm-hmm.
more of really reading also these books and enjoying them. We, us CM parents, we enjoy the books ourselves. And that
Yes.
for us
True.
is our lesson plan.
That's
And
true.
so there is a big difference because somehow you are also learning along with your children and you are not directing the classroom, kumbaga, what they ought to learn. You know, it's very
That's
spontaneous. And
right.
that's one thing
Mm-hmm.
also that I loved about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and another thing that you mentioned that I truly love and I truly believe in, and the reason why I still keep reading up until now is because the why is important. In
Yes.
every
Very
practice that
important.
you do, in fact, even not in Charlotte Mason, in anything that you do, if it's another method or if whatever method that you're using, you have to know
Mhm.
the reason why behind
Right.
why you're giving this activity.
Correct.
Is it just to make your child busy? Is it just to make you feel good about your homeschool day? So I love that. And it's very important to go back to the whys. And the more you know why, the more you will feel at peace. I love that. Okay,
Right.
next, Jen, maybe
All right.
may isa pa akong question. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wait. Okay. Can you name 5 things that make your homeschool experience maybe different since you've been using this Charlotte Mason for a year now? What are
Yeah.
the outstanding things or maybe
Mm-hmm.
even difficulty? Share
Yeah.
also and
Mm-hmm.
anything that's different right now.
All right. So maybe first that you can really observe in our home is the atmosphere. We now have a different atmosphere in our home, especially during study time, during end of quarter. Usually, the pressure is so high during end of quarter wherein you need to submit requirements. Nandyan yung talagang matitest yung patience mo as a homeschool parent, di ba? So, it's really very different right now when we've tried out this methodology. That's why we decided really to push on and to pursue, because just after a few weeks of doing the methodology, we've already noticed the differences in terms of this. We now have a more peaceful and more relaxed home. It's not that we're not doing anything, we're not relaxing at all. In
Yes.
fact, maybe we just learned to focus more on what is important.
Yes.
Okay, we focus more on what is important. And the atmosphere of the home may be brought about by Charlotte Mason's short lessons. We
Yes.
do our lessons For my kindergartner, we do it 7 to 10 minutes, but sometimes he likes it more than 7 minutes. No, no, wait for the next day. Wait for the next day. Diba? Wait for the next day. So that's how you keep them interested. For my grade one, we do it 15 minutes, maximum of 15 minutes. We do
Per
have
subject.
timers,
Per,
diba? Per
uh,
subject, per
yeah.
subject. Okay. 15 minutes per subject. Okay. We have a timer to remind us that it's time. And then I will try as much as possible not to talk or ask questions, but it was difficult for me at first. It was difficult for me because the teacher in me would always tell me, now you have to ask questions so that you would know if the child understands or not. Okay, so all the WH questions I am tempted to ask, but I choose to keep my mouth shut. It's very difficult for me because I'm very talkative. I like to ask, I like to lecture, no? But that
Mhm.
is one thing that I learned also with the methodology. But it's good for me because I get to rest my voice too. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that's very refreshing for all of us. No more rushing, no
Mhm.
more doing this because you need to submit, you need to do this. No more forcing them to study. In fact, they're the ones asking for me to study with them even on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
the ones asking you to come on, let's go study. What story are we reading next? So it really warms your heart to hear your children asking you to study with them. So they're not afraid of the books. Before that, if the textbooks are there, if it's a Filipino textbook, you have to hide it. You have to pre-read what's your lesson because you cannot show your textbook or else they would run away from you. No? This time with the storybooks, with all the living books, they're the
Mhm.
ones getting it from the shelf. No? So
Wow.
it's really fun for us.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Secondly, I can say I'm talking about the books and our shelves. So we have very limited shelves in the house. So I have it in the maleta. I have it on top of my table. But I have a shelf for the books that they are currently using. I am hoarding books. But now I get to fill our shelves with all the beautifully written books. The
Mhm.
living books are all there. No? So, because what's good about it is that you don't think about grade levels anymore. If
Mhm.
this is appropriate for grade one, this is appropriate for grade two. No, this is appropriate for everyone. No? Because
Yeah.
it's so interesting. No? So it's different. And that's one thing that I really love, that you get to travel the world reading those books. You get to feel the emotions. No? So
Mm.
my children, my grade one, di ba remember, my grade one loves Jose Rizal.
Yes.
He's using a book that I used when I was in college. And talagang amazing because she likes it. She
Yeah.
likes it so much. She likes it so much. And she's really learning a lot with all these living books. And even my kinder, she's saying, I'm excited to be in grade one because I will also learn about Rizal. But he's listening to the stories. It's just that he's not that much interested yet. But he says when the ate is discussing about Rizal, he would say, when I'm in grade one, I will read that too. So it's something that you can be proud of. No? So I
Mhm.
don't even know if I like Rizal then during my college years. I don't even know if I like that book. I don't even know. But I remember that I had that book when I was in college. Okay. Then third, I love narrations. Okay. We've had the effects of this narration is that we've had very meaningful conversations during meal times, car rides, family time. We talk about everything and anything. So there's no more thinking of grade level appropriateness when you talk about your topics that you've read, you've studied. Unlike before, that when you are teaching a grade four, you would just talk about the lessons about grade four, and you have that apprehension to talk about it in front of younger children, no, because it's a little too much. It's for grade four.
Mhm.
Right now, no, we talk about anything and everything. They talk about the Bible. They talk about Joseph, Moses. They know King Hiram. They know Solomon. So when we talk about these things, my husband was even telling us, um, "Are you going to ask me to narrate too?" Because many times when the children are talking about these things during meal times, then they would ask their father, "Daddy, it's your time. Narrate. Did you listen to us narrate?" So na-challenge naman si daddy, di ba? Na-narrate din siya. Okay. So that is one thing. And in fact, my husband and we do that every night. Whatever I've read, I share it with him. He has no choice but to listen to me. But he loves it. He loves it. That the teachings of Charlotte Mason doesn't only cover education, but it also covers parenting. It also covers our spirituality. But so everything, all in. So when we talk about it at night, so talagang tagisan ng talino ba tawag doon? So we all have our own reflections about her teachings. Okay? And siguro one more thing that is different is that we get to spend time outdoors now. I'm not an outdoor person. I'm not an outdoor. You can lock me for all you want, I'm not an outdoor person, but you know, I saw the beauty of being outdoors with the teachings of Charlotte Mason. I tried to, okay, try lang. And then later on, you'll get that feeling that it's so peaceful, it's so calm being outdoors. No? With of course, with a dose of your vitamin D and all. No? So it's different and you get to appreciate God's creation more. Dati alam mo lang the moon and the stars, di ba? No? Now you get to appreciate everything, every bird that comes to our veranda, the herb plants that we have here in our small condo unit, no? So when we go to the playground, they get to appreciate all the flowers, the trees, and all. No? Na dati, wag ka dyan pumunta. Di ba? Hindi ka dyan. Hindi ka pwede, masasaktan ka. Wag kang umakyat ng puno. Magagasgas ang tuhod mo and all. Di ba? But now it's really different. We get to appreciate being outdoors. And most importantly, maybe one of the most important learnings that we've had is that we now focus on the essentials. Focus on the essentials, meaning we focus on the habit formation of the children. Because before, if you get too busy, if you get too preoccupied, you tend to let something slide because you feel that there is a requirement to be submitted, there is a quiz to be answered, or there is a test that needs to be done. So this time you focus on the character formation, you focus on the habit of attention, focus on habit of cleanliness, doing chores, being consistent. So there are things that we now see as non-essential that before you thought was so important. So you get to choose your priorities right now. And even the children, they are learning how to do that too. They're learning how to do those things too.
Wow, Jen. Siguro our our moms who are listening are wondering, how will we do this? Where do I start? But let me just go back to what you said a while ago regarding exams, quarterly
Mm,
exams. That
yes.
before you were so stressed, and now it's different. To give them a bit of information about
Mm-hmm.
that, Charlotte Mason homeschoolers, we still do exams, but in a different way.
That's right.
Maybe you could research more on that, but we definitely do have
Yes.
examinations. But for some reason, the children do not dread examinations.
That's right. That's
They're, in fact, they don't even know that they're taking an examination
right. That's
because
right.
for them, it's the same thing. It's learning. And so maybe that lessens the tension, the stress. And so
True.
yeah, maybe you guys could search about that. And what I
Mm-hmm.
love also about what you said, Jen, is that the totality is, I think your family right now instead of just simply complying to what is required. You've complied more. Eh? We already know that. You comply
Right.
more, but there is love for learning.
That's
And when
right.
there is love for learning, you don't limit it to, oh, grade 1 lesson lang ha, or grade 4 lesson lang. It goes
Mm-hmm.
beyond. Like what you said, you're even
That's
reading
right.
Jose Rizal in a college,
Mm-hmm.
or your
Mm-hmm.
college book. So, and I think that's the most important thing for children nowadays. It's to love learning.
That's right.
So yeah,
That's right.
thank you for sharing all of those. And maybe lastly, siguro lahat na ng mga parents dito, siguro paano ba magsisimula? So, can you tell us a specific tip you'd
Mm-hmm.
like to share to the others on maybe how they can start their CM journey if they're interested
Mm-hmm.
to learn more about Charlotte Mason?
Okay. Uh, okay. The one tip that I can give is that you have to understand and to acknowledge that this is different. It
Mm.
is really very different. Especially if you're an educator, if you're a mom who's used to the traditional method of teaching, even if you're already homeschooling, what I can say is that it's different. It's totally different. No? It may also be challenging, may also be very challenging because we are not trained to do this.
Mm.
We were not trained to do this when we were growing up. We grew up in schools, and when we were starting to homeschool, we did the traditional or the eclectic way, and this is so different. No? But what I can say is that if you decide to do this methodology, if you decide to implement this methodology, just like anything that you put your heart into, you have to embrace it 101%. I think that's the real measure for being successful in this methodology or in any other methodology that you choose. You
Mm.
have to embrace it 101%. You have to have that expectant faith that everything is going to work out well. You are going to be successful in this. You're going to teach your child. You're going to instill in that little heart of theirs the love for learning for a lifetime, not for a grade level. So that after the exam you forget all about it and then you go, no, and then you move on to the next grade levels lessons. No, you allow them to you allow the lessons that they've learned to feed their soul, feed their heart, and to encourage them to have that love for learning for a lifetime. So you have to be prepared for the little miracles that will happen along the way. There will be a lot of miracles, I tell you. Even with our just a year, oh, actually, even for just weeks, we started doing narration for weeks, and I already saw those little miracles. No, and we are just so happy about it. We celebrated those little miracles, and you will just be amazed with your children, with yourself too, with your family. You will be amazed with what this methodology will bring to you. And if you decide to embrace Charlotte Mason's methodology, first is you have to give your complete trust. You have to trust the methodology, trust that it would work, trust that you will be successful. You have to trust yourself that you can do it. Okay? Do not fear. You can do it just as long as you equip yourself. Okay? Just as long as you equip yourself. Because if you would just rely on the experiences of others, so you will just be at the tip of the iceberg. So you have to go deeper. You have to go deeper. And then, thirdly, is you have to believe in your child. Believe in your child that your child is going to succeed. And he's going to love learning for the rest of his life. So I think that's very, very important for you to be able to be successful in this methodology.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. You mentioned nga na, yes, we were never trained for this.
Yeah.
The way we saw learning was, it's very fragmented. There's a lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and then we memorize it, and then we take a quiz. But
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it, that way of learning is really not natural. It's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
very system based. But now the Charlotte Mason way offers us an option to learn naturally. I think
Yes.
that's the reason why. That's why it parang it's just flowing, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a natural way of learning, like narration. We love
Yes.
talking about the things that we know, right?
That's right.
And that is the basis of narration, and that's why right now parang yun, it's natural. Another
Yeah.
thing that I
And then
love. Oh, go.
ago. What you mentioned about reading and all, no. So one thing siguro is for you not to rush. That's one thing that we learned also for the school year. Eh? Not rushing things
Mm,
because the readings, the topics, the materials are so beautiful, and if you rush through it, sayang, di ba? So
mm,
we allow our children to digest the material,
mm,
to have the book longer in their hands so that they would have more time to ponder upon the lessons in that story or in those materials. No more rushing. Because when you rush, you feel pressure. You're
mm.
so pressured to do everything. And then it affects your emotions. Diba? It affects your emotions, your mood, and everything. So let the children enjoy what is presented in front of them. So our role as teachers, diba, you always mention that in your workshops,
Mm,
would be for us to be facilitators.
mm.
Let's talk, mommies and daddies. Let's talk for us. Let them learn. Okay, let them learn. Okay, maybe that's very important. Yung rushing, because everything is fast pacing. Ngayon lang tayo medyo huminto, di ba? With the
Yes,
ECQ.
yes, yes.
Pero if you really reflect on it, we've been very busy and everything is fast paced. So
Mm,
everything, parang ang bilis-bilis ng araw. Biro mo ngayon, nakakailang days na tayo. Ang bilis ng
yeah,
araw, no?
yeah,
So it would be very nice to not our children rush through things. Because in
yeah.
that way, di ba, it would really stay with them.
Yeah, parang 'di ba? So this is a feast, 'di ba? Yun yung
Mhm.
idea ni Charlotte Mason that we're eating from a banquet. Now, if
That's
a
right.
child gobbles all the food, even though it's yummy food, even though it's nutritious, kainin niya, hindi na-digest properly. And so the
Mhm.
best way to enjoy a buffet, like when we go to a buffet, is to eat slowly and enjoy
Slowly.
every moment.
Correct.
Because you know
Correct.
that it's nutritious, di ba? So that's
Yes.
the idea also na naisip ko lang. Shucks, miss ko na mag-buffet.
Oo, parehas tayo ng nasa isip. Hindi sasabihin ko, nakaka-miss na pala mag-buffet.
Na-miss ko na mag-buffet. Ayun. Another thing that I love about what you mentioned expectant faith. So when because you have faith, you're expecting something good. You're
Mhm.
usually kasi as moms, well, we have the tendency to say, kaya ba niya yan? Sige nga. Or,
Mhm. Mhm.
negative na tayong lahat because we don't trust the child.
Yes,
Don't trust that the child is able to take in good stuff. But
that's right.
but if you have expectant faith, like what you said, that those words are beautiful, the child sees that you believe in her or him, eh.
Mhm.
And that does wonders for these
That's
children.
right.
And
Yes.
so thank you, Jen. Thank
Thank
you for
you, Gina.
sharing. We will have more mini talks in the future. Maybe next time you could share a little bit more about your eldest son,
Yeah.
who has, yeah, okay, so that the other moms can learn more from you. Again, thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone, for listening
Thank
to
you,
us.
everybody.
If you have questions, feel free to just comment wherever here, and Jen and I can answer these questions. Okay, sige. Thank you, Jen, again. Bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Salamat.
Bye.
Bye.